Though our history's been sanitized, come with me as we shine a black light in the home we call American history, showing the DNA that blacks have left on this country. It is June 26th, and welcome to another day in Black Light history. I'm glad you're here. I'm your host, Big A. Let's get into it. Happy birthday to two-time All-NBA point guard Deron Williams. The two-time Olympic gold medal winner turns 41 today. Born on this day but no longer with us is six-time Negro League National Baseball Hall of Fame outfielder Willard Brown. With a career .351 batting average, Brown was a Negro League World Series champion in 1942, and in 1947 joined Major League Baseball's St. Louis Browns. He's the first black to hit a home run in the American League. Brown passed in 1996 at the age of 81. On this day in 1974, acclaimed photographer and director Gordon Parks Jr. releases his blaxploitation action film, Three the Hard Way, starring Jim Brown, Jim Kelly, and Fred Williamson. In 1981, Lionel Richie and Diana Ross released the title track to the movie Endless Love. Written by Richie, the song would garner an Oscar and Golden Globe nominations, topping the Hot 100 chart on its way to a 2x platinum certification. Endless Love would win an American Music Award in 1982. On this day in 1962, Boston Red Sox pitcher Earl Wilson pitched a 2-0 no-hitter against the Los Angeles Angels at Fenway Park, becoming the first African American to accomplish the feat in the American League. On this day in 1964, the Womack brothers released the single It's All Over Now. The British band The Rolling Stones would hear it and immediately record a cover. It would be their first #1 hit. Singer Alicia Keys on this day in 2001 would release her debut album Songs in A Minor. With the hit singles Fallen and A Woman's Worth, the album would top the Billboard 200 chart on its way to being certified 7x platinum. The album won an American Music Award, and at the 2002 Grammys, Keys would take home 5 awards off the album. Born on this day in 1938 but no longer with us is Basketball Hall of Fame shooting guard Hal Greer. Playing for 15 seasons in the NBA, Greer averaged 19.2 points per game with 5 rebounds and 4 assists. A 7-time All-NBA selection, Greer would retire as a 76er and sadly would leave us in 2018 at the age of 81. Today we have 3 lynching stories to discuss. The first is of Arthur St. Clair. A former slave, St. Clair would become a fairly prominent figure in the state of Florida's political circles. A pastor, St. Clair founded the Bethlehem Progressive Baptist Church and along with his brother opened a school for black children. On this day in 1877, Arthur St. Clair was murdered on his way back home to Brooksville, Florida. The pastor was coming back from Dade City where he performed a wedding for an interracial couple, James Day and Lizzie Brooks. To cover up the evidence of who murdered St. Clair, the county courthouse was burned to the ground to destroy all evidence. No one was ever charged. Next, we need to discuss the case of James Hartfield of Ellisville, Mississippi. Hartfield had left Mississippi to go find work at East St. Louis, but would return home in 1919. Apparently, he was in love with a white woman in town. When some white men found out, it was determined James must die. Hartfield eluded capture for several weeks, but was finally caught boarding a train. He was delivered to Sheriff Harbison on June 24th. The Jackson Daily News and the New Orleans State's newspapers ran a headline, James Hartfield will be lynched by Ellisville mob at 5 p.m. this afternoon. Sheriff Harbison would leave Hartfield in the custody of his deputy and left town. Plausible deniability and such. The governor of Mississippi, George Bilbo, refused to step in. At 5 o'clock, a large mob arrived at the jail and the deputies just handed Hartfield over. He was hung from a sweet gum tree and was shot reportedly over 2,000 times. He was cut down and cut up for souvenirs. His remains were then burned. Postcards were eventually printed and sent out. Afterwards, Governor Bilbo would declare, "This is a white man's country, with a white man's civilization. Any dreams on the part of the Negro race to share social and political equality will be shattered in the end." In the following years, future Vietnam leader Ho Chi Minh would write about the lynching in his selected works. Finally, in 2011, 47-year-old Nissan assembly line worker James Craig Anderson had lost his keys. A group of 10 drunk white men were out looking with some black people. In 2 separate vehicles, the men would surround Anderson and would beat him and rob him. As they sped away, 18-year-old Darrell Dedmon, who was driving his own truck, decided to accelerate and plowed over Mr. Anderson. Anderson would of course die from his injuries. Caught on security footage, the group was arrested and charged with hate crimes. Dedmon had bragged to multiple people he knew that he ran over. Dedmon was convicted of state crimes and federal hate crimes and is serving a 50-year sentence with no chance of parole. 9 other men were charged and convicted of hate crimes and conspiracy crimes. Their sentences were not as harsh. Today we have 2 spotlights. First, happy 57th birthday to NFL Hall of Fame tight end Shannon Sharpe. The younger brother of Hall of Fame receiver Sterling Sharpe, Shannon would play his college football at Savannah State University and was a SIAC Player of the Year in 1987. Drafted by the Denver Broncos in 1990, a 3-time Super Bowl winner, Sharpe would be a 5-time All-NFL pick and was selected to the 1990s All-Decade team. With over 10,000 career receiving yards with 62 touchdowns, he is in the Broncos Ring of Honor, and in 2011 enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Since retirement, he has become a prominent figure in sports journalism and hosts a popular social media show, Club Shay Shay. Happy 51st birthday to Hall of Fame shortstop Derek Jeter. During his 20-year professional career, all with the New York Yankees, Jeter batted a career .310 with 3,465 hits and 1,311 runs batted in. Jeter was the 1996 American League Rookie of the Year. Winning 5 championships with the Yankees, he was named the 2000 World Series MVP. A 14-time All-Star, Jeter won 5 Gold Glove Awards and Silver Slugger Awards. Twice he was named the American League Hank Aaron Award winner for Best Hitter, and in 2009, Jeter received the Roberto Clemente Award. In 2020, Jeter was the first ballot selection to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. The Yankees have also retired his number 2 jersey. And finally, our profile of the day, we remember the life of James Weldon Johnson. He graduated from Atlanta University and a member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. Johnson, under President Theodore Roosevelt, served as the U.S. Consul to Venezuela and Nicaragua between 1906 and 1913. Johnson would return to New York and become the field secretary for the NAACP. In 1917, he would organize a silent march through New York, a 10,000-person march protesting the use of lynchings in America. He would become the NAACP's executive secretary in 1920. A strong supporter of the Harlem Renaissance, Johnson was a brilliant writer himself, publishing poems and essays detailing black life in America. He would coin the term Red Summer, referencing the waves of race riots and lynchings during the year 1919. Johnson would write the words to Lift Every Voice and Sing. His brother would compose the music, and the song became known as the Black National Anthem. Johnson would become the first black professor to teach at New York University. In 1930, Johnson would begin his tenure at Fisk University, teaching creative literature. He would hold this position until his untimely death in 1938. On this day, in 1938, while visiting his family summer home in Maine, a car his wife was driving was struck by a train. Johnson died at the age of 67. James Weldon Johnson was awarded the NAACP Spingarn Medal in 1925. In 1933, W.E.B. Du Bois Prize for Negro Literature. He held an honorary master's degree from Atlanta University and an honorary doctorate from Howard University and Talladega College. Several schools, libraries, and buildings are named in his honor. Since 2021, June 17th in the state of Maine is James Weldon Johnson Annual Observance Day. That concludes today's events. If you've enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe to the channel. And remember, powers try to erase our history, but today can be the day that you achieve something that we can discuss next year on Black Light History.